Good morning, everyone. Dear students, today we will read the story Should Wizard Hit Mommy by John Updike. The story Should Wizard Hit Mommy, written by John Updike, revolves around the conflicting views of a child and a parent. Parents express their own expectations. They desire that their children should grow up as per their expectations. However, children have their own ambitions and aspirations. The story raises a moral question whether the parents should always decide what the children should do or let the children do what they like to do. The world of children is quite different from that of adults. Their world is a dreamy and magical world. It's a world of fantasy and romance. It's wrong on the part of adults to thrust their will on their children. Once a child is able to express himself or herself, one should not brush aside his queries, suggestions, and opinions. In the story, Roger's skunk smells very bad. Other creatures loathed him and would run away from him. They teased him by calling him Stinky Skunk. Roger felt very bad. He had no friends. Thus, he wanted to change his smell. After the wizard gave him the smell of roses, he was very happy. All other little animals gathered around him. Now he smelled so good. But Mother Skunk thought otherwise. She hit the wizard on the head and made Roger get back his foul smell. This made Joe very angry. She wanted that the wizard should hit Mommy Skunk back. In the story, the child Joe felt that the happiness of being able to make friends is more than anything else. So she wanted the story to end with Roger's skunk smelling of roses. On the other hand, her father ended the story by saying that the mother was right in getting Roger's skunk back to its original smell. He advocates that children should respect their parents' opinion and obey them unquestioningly. Let's continue. In the evenings and for Saturday naps like today, Jack told his daughter Jo a story out of his head. In every evening and on Saturday while sleeping, John used to tell his daughter Jo a story out of his head, means with his imagination. This custom began when she was 2, was itself now nearly 2 years old, and his head felt empty. Custom means right ritual. The ritual of telling stories started when the girl was of 2 years old, and now she was 4 years old, and the father was not able to imagine different stories. Each new story was a slight variation of a basic tale. Variation means different. Each story used to be a little bit different from the basic tale. What was the basic tale? A small creature usually named Roger, that could be Roger fish, Roger squirrel, Roger chipmunk, had some problem and went with it to the wise old owl. In the story, the basic tale was that an animal used to be there that started with Roger. It could be Roger fish, it could be Roger squirrel, it could be Roger chipmunk. And he had some problem and he used to go to a wise owl. The owl told him to go to the wizard. When the creature expressed its problem to the owl used to send him to the wizard. And the wizard performed a magic spell and the problem was solved. And the wizard used to perform the magic spell and the problem used to be solved, demanding in payment a number of pennies greater than the number that Roger creature had. In payment, the magic used to ask the money which the creature didn't have, but in the same breath directing the animal to a place where the extra pennies could be found. But at the same time, the magician used to tell the creature from where the money could be found. Then Roger was so happy. He played many games with other creatures and went home to his mother just in time to hear the train whistle that brought his daddy home from Boston. After that, the creature used to play with his friends, and in the evening, when his father used to come from Boston in train, he used to go his home. Jack described their supper, and the story was over. After that, they used to enjoy dinner, and the story used to be ended here only. Working his way through this scheme was especially fatiguing on Saturday because Joe never felt asleep in naps anymore. Telling the story in the same way was very tiring on Saturday because the child didn't used to sleep during daytime, and knowing this made the ride seem futile. Futile means vain, useless. So the tradition of telling the story was useless, was vain on Saturday. The little girl, not so little anymore, the bumps her feet made under the cover were halfway down the bed. Bumps means jumps. The girl was not so little now. Her jumps could cover half of the bed, their big double bed, and they let her be in for naps when she was sick. The master she used to sleep in the master bedroom when the girl was feeling sick, had at last arranged herself, and from the way her fat face deep in the pillow shone in the sunlight, sifting through the drawn shades. Now on Saturday, the father was telling the story. The girl had put her head on the pillow, and the sun shone through the curtains. It didn't seem fantastic that some magic would occur. The girl was not ready to sleep. Father was thinking that some magic would occur, then the child could sleep. She would take her nap like an infant or two. Her brother was of 2 months and he was sleeping there. Her brother Bobby was 2 and already asleep with his bottle. Jack asked, "Who shall the story be about today?" Because every day father used to tell the story with a little variation, and that day he asked the child because now she was of 4 years old and she could tell whom about the story should be told that day. Rosa. Joe squeezed her eyes shut and smiled to be thinking she was thinking. The child was smiling because she was able to know that now she could make decisions. Her eyes opened, her mother's blue. Her eyes were blue just like her mother's. She said firmly, "Skunk. A new animal. They must talk about skunk at nursery school." The girl used to go to play school and she must have listened the name of skunk there. And she told that the story must be about Rosa skunk. Having a fresh hero momentarily stirred Jack to creative enthusiasm. When the father listened the name of new creature, he was enthusiastic. "All right," he said. "Once upon a time in the deep dark woods there was a tiny little creature by the name of Rosa skunk, and he smelled very bad." In the same way, the father started the story that Rosa skunk smelled very bad. "Yes," Joe said. "He smelled so bad that none of the other little woodland creatures would play with him." Joe looked at him solemnly and hadn't foreseen this. The father told that the creature smelled very bad, and the other animals didn't play with him, so he ran away weeping. And whenever he go out to play, Jack continued with just remembering certain humiliations of his own childhood. As Jack had a stepmother, he had to face humiliations in his childhood. Remembering the same humiliation, he wanted to tell the girl that the creature felt humiliated. All of the other tiny animals would cry, "Oh, here comes Rosa's stinky skunk," and they would run away, and Rosa's skunk would stand there all alone. Other animals would run away as he smelled very bad, and he would stand there only all alone, and 2 little round tears would fall from his eyes, weeping there. The corner of Joe's mouth dropped down, and her lower lip bent forward as he traced with a forefinger along the side of her nose and the course of one of Rosa's skunk's tears. When the girl listened that the creature was troubled and other animals wouldn't play with him, she also started weeping. "Won't he see the owl?" she asked in a high and faintly rough voice. Just then the child was able to know that whenever the creature used to be in trouble, he used to go to the wise owl. She told that why didn't he go to the wise owl? Sitting on the bed beside her, Jack felt the covers tug as her legs switched tensely. He was pleased with this moment. He was telling her something true, something she must know. The father was feeling proud because that day he had thought that he would tell the mother that parents are always right and they must obey them, and had no wish to hurry on. So he was telling the story with relax. But downstairs, a chair scrapped. He realized he must get down to help Claire paint the living room woodwork. Living room means drawing room. And Claire, the wife of Jack, was painting the furniture, and he thought that his wife was pregnant and he must go to help her. Well, he walked along very sadly and came to a very big tree. And in the tiptoe of the tree was an enormous wise owl. Enormous means huge, gigantic. Huge wise owl was there in the tiptoe of the tree. Good. Mr. Owl, Roger Skunk said, all the other little animals run away from me because I smell so bad. So you did, the owl said. The owl said, he really smelt very bad, very, very bad. What can I do? The owl asked what could he do. Roger Skunk said, and he cried very hard. The creature started weeping. The wizard, Joe shouted and sat right up, and a little golden book spilled from the bed. Spilled means fell from the bed. The girl was able to understand what the father would say because each story was the same with just a slight variation. She shouted the wizard, that he must go to the wizard. Just then a book fell from the bed. Now, Joe, Daddy is telling the story. Do you want to tell Daddy the story? His father was angry with her. No, you me. Then lie down and be sleepy. Her head relapsed on the pillow and she said, out of your head. She told that her father was telling the story only in his imagination. Well, the owl thought and thought. At last he said, why don't you go to see the wizard? The owl said that he must go to the wizard. Daddy, what? Are magic spells real? Because the child is now 4 years old. Her reasoning power is developing. She has intellectual power. She is able to make decisions. She asked her father, she asked the questions with her curiosity and asked whether magic spells were real. This was a new phase, just the last month. From the last month, the child was able to make such type of questions. When he told her spiders eat bugs, she turned to her mother and asked, do they really? When her father had told that spiders eat bugs, she had turned to her mother to confirm. And when Claire told her God was in the sky and all around, she turned to her father and insisted, with a shy yet eager smile, is he really? And when her mother Claire had told that God was everywhere, she had turned to her father to confirm that. They are real in stories. Her father told that magicians were real in stories. Jack answered curtly. Curtly means politely. She had made him miss a bit in the narrative. The girl had diverted the attention of her father. The owl said, go through the dark woods, under the apple tree, into the swamp, over the creek. Creek is a small river. The owl said that the creature must go to the dark woods, under the apple tree, into the swamp, and after that he should cross a creek, small river. What's a creek? A little river. Once over the creek, and there will be the wizard's house. And that's the way Roger Skunk went. And pretty soon he came to a little white house, and he rapped on the door. When the creature went to the same way, he crossed the river. There was the wizard's house, and he went to the wizard's house. There was the white house, and he knocked the door. Jack rapped on the windowsill. Jack started rapping the windowsill in the same way as the creature had rapped the door. And under the cover, Joe's tall figure clenched in an infantile thrill. She was excited just like a child. And then a tiny little old man came out with a long white beard and a pointed blue hat. With cornered blue hat, an old man came out. That was the wizard. Wizard, what do you want? You smell awful. The wizard said to the creature that he smelled very bad. The wizard's voice was one of Jack's own favorite effects. Joe's father, Jack, was doing the same acting as the wizards do. He did it by scrunching up his face, somehow winning through his eyes. With full expressions, he made the acting of the wizard, which felt for the interval roomy. He felt being an old man suited him. It appeared that he was doing the same acting as the wizard had done. I know it, Rosa Skunk said, and all the little animals run away from me. The little animal tells the wizard that he knew that he smelled very bad, and all the other little animals ran away from him. The enormous wise owl said, "You could help me." Enormous means huge. And he told that the huge wise owl, who was at the tiptoe of the tree, he had sent him there. "Oh, well, maybe. Come on, don't get too close." The wizard told him that he must not come too close. Now inside Joe, there were all things, magic things, all jumbled together in a big dusty heap with dirt. All the things were lying in a heap. Jumbled means in a heap, because the wizard didn't have any cleaning lady, because there was no lady to clean the house. Why? Because he was a wizard and a very old man. Her father told that because he was a wizard, that was why he hadn't any lady. Will he die? Then the girl asked another question, whether the wizard would die. No, wizards do not die. Well, he rummaged around and found an old stick called a magic wand. Rummaged means searched. The magician searched all around and he found a magic wand. Wand means stick. And asked Rosa Skunk what he wanted to smell. And he asked the creature which smell he wanted. Rosa thought and said roses. After that, the creature told that he wanted the smell of roses. Yes, good, Joe said smugly. Jack fixed her with a trance-like gaze and chanted in the wizard's elderly, irritable voice. Jack looked at her daughter intently, and he recited in the same way as a magician used to recite. Abracadabra, hocus po, Rosa Skunk, how do you do, roses, bosses, put an ear, Rosa Skunk, you never fear, bingo. When he recited the sound, the creature got the smell of roses. We'll continue.